Today is one of those wonderful days when we receive these great texts within our tradition. There are those Sundays where the pastor wishes he or she could discard most of those texts, and then those days where you just embrace them and you feel them washing over you. There's something wonderful about the prophet Jeremiah and this idea of our very hearts being rewritten with God's love and God's word within us. There is something powerful when the psalmist sings out that God and God's people are in the city for good. That there is a holy place with a river washing through, a place of refuge and strength for the holy people of God. There's always something wonderful for me about hearing Paul talking about being saved by grace, by letting go of those things that we are so apt to boast about, and allowing God to do what God does best. Be in relationship with us and with the whole of creation, and allowing us to rest in that. And then there is this story that Jesus shares with his followers about being set free, renewed, and that there is one who will come, the Son, who sets free all of those who have been in bondage. I am mindful, though, that for all of us, it is easy to forget the history that has brought us to today. And for each person, as they hear these stories, to forget about the steps along the journey, the road. And if we reflect back in what is happening with the prophet Jeremiah, there are a people who have messed up over and over and over and over and over again. And yet God won't let them go. God continues to say that in the midst of those places where you have messed up or missed the mark, that there will be a promise for you. And beyond priests telling you what to do, or a certain temple being the place you have to be for prayer, or even certain ethics that you are going to hold fast to, what I am going to do is to write a very holy nature into your hearts so that you know what is good, what is right and true. Listen, O people. Hear what God has put into your hearts. Or the psalmist, in the midst of the struggles, the battles that have raged, the exiles that have taken place, saying that there is a Holy One who continues to hold you fast in the midst of all. A Holy One who walks with you. In this context, it's very much a communal holding in the midst of things that are happening outside and the challenges, but yet this is also a place where each of us can lodge individually. And so it seems only fitting as we gather this day and we hold out our brother Eric, our sister Deb, and their family, that we take a moment to rest in that place and to hear that there is a God who is our sanctuary, our refuge, our habitation. That in the midst of all that goes on around us, there is this rock, this place where we might dwell and know that we are held secure. And then, of course, with Romans, the idea that God's grace washes over us. Paul is writing to a community that is likely both Jewish and Greek and Roman, and is saying to these people that there is something profound that is done in Jesus that none of us can completely understand or can accomplish on our own, but rather are invited in to hear the story, to dwell in that place. And on this Reformation, it's always wonderful to hear that we are laid bare, wide open, hearts, hands, minds, and lives, that we might be renewed and reclaimed. Of course, as Jesus knows as he's talking in the gospel, is that it's not always easy. That people struggle with being told that there is a new way of doing things. And the wonderful thing about rich history here is it's very clear how easily it is forgotten. As Jesus talks to them about being set free, liberated, made new. And these people, Jewish people of faith, who have been following Jesus, as we are told, say, well, what is this about? We have never been slaves to anyone. We are descendants of Abraham. I'm surprised Jesus didn't say, let's do a little rewind here. Let's go back and think about what happened to our people. That there was a time where we were slaves, indentured in a foreign land, a place in which we struggled under the yoke of oppression. But he doesn't go there. He just kind of moves forward and gets them to think beyond what it means to be descendants of Abraham, and to say, what does it mean instead to be set free? What does it mean to be liberated in a new way beyond whatever genetic disposition you have, or whomever you claim as parents or grandparents or elders in your tradition? What does it mean to live in freedom? And do you realize you can't do it yourself? But rather that God continues to liberate and free. And just as God raised up Moses for the journey out of Egypt, that there is one who will liberate beyond all of those places where people are hurting and wounded and the world is broken and lives are falling apart in the midst of sin or brokenness. That there will be a new way of being. Now, of course, if you are like me, this is the place where we bump up against it. There's a lot of wonderful things about being told you are going to be set free. But what does that mean? What does that look like when this son breaks the chains or unkeys the locks and lets you walk forward in a new way? That can be really scary. And in the church, we hang our red vestments for today, our banners, and we sing songs that are about living and being in a new way. And we hear these wonderful texts, but I hope you are also shaking in your shoes a little bit. Because it's not an easy freedom or a comfortableness that comes with this freedom. Rather, it is the sense that we are going to be challenged in new ways. That as the sun sets us free, we will be propelled outward to live and to live richly.